Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Another appeal from wife of slain Haitian President to find the people behind the murder. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Thursday, 2nd September 2021. Details when we return.
Hubbard's big promotion is back. Live free for 1 year. Spend $50 or more in any Hubbard's department and receive a chance to win big prizes every month. Property or vehicle insurance for 1 year. Free internet, cable and data for 1 year. Free fuel for 1 year. Free cooking gas for 1 year. Free electricity for 1 year. Free drinks for 1 year. Extra cash account and the big free groceries for 1 year. Promotion runs from April 1st to September 30th, 2021. Live free for 1 year with Hubbard's in association with Solgas, Flow, Grenadian General Insurance, Carib Brewery, Coca-Cola, Grenada Bottling Company, Grenlec, Communal Cooperative Credit Union, Dutch Lady Milk, Promo, Danny and Supreme. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. The wife of assassinated Haitian President Jovenel Moïse issues another call for help in finding those responsible for her husband's death. She spoke with Reuters TV.
We won't stop asking for justice until justice is found.
The wife of Haiti's slain president, Jovenel Moïse, has made a direct plea to the international community to help find his killers. In an interview with Reuters, Martine Moïse said she was determined to get justice for her husband, who was gunned down in a late-night raid by suspected mercenaries at the couple's home in July. Moïse's murder plunged the Caribbean nation, already plagued by hunger and gang violence, further into chaos and triggered a hunt for the masterminds across the Americas.
Every country that can help, please help, because the people that did that are still out there. And I don't know if their name will ever be out.
Nearly 2 months on from the assassination, certain aspects of the murder remain shrouded in mystery. Haitian police have arrested more than 3 dozen suspects, including 18 Colombian mercenaries, an obscure Haitian-American doctor they say aspired to be president, and the head of Moïse's security team. But they have made public little in the way of evidence, and one judge investigating the case has stepped down, citing security concerns. The former First Lady says she's losing faith in the process and hopes the FBI will be able to help.
I'm asking myself, will they ever find the people that really have to be found? Because those people, they did it, but someone give the others, someone paid the money.
Increased numbers of people are coming out to get vaccinated as more vaccine options become available in Antigua and Barbuda. ABS's Jessica Russell reports.
More COVID-19 vaccine options have created an uptick in people coming out to get the shot. More people have been coming out to get vaccinated against COVID-19. Many arrived at the Multipurpose Cultural Center to get their shot.
We've seen a dramatic uptake in persons coming out to get vaccinated. Majority of the persons that we are seeing are more favoring for the Pfizer as of lately. Maybe it's due to the fact that children are able to get it. So a lot of parents come with their children, they just take it one time.
The Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, now called Comirnaty, became available for those 12 and older a week ago. Mikhail says so far, over 1,000 minors have gotten their first shot. There are 3 options available at the Multipurpose Center.
We have the Pfizer, the AstraZeneca, and the Sinopharm. So in combined with those, we're seeing over 300, 400 on a daily basis.
Over at the Villa Polyclinic, site manager Michelle Warner-Morris says there's been an increase at the station.
Well, the vaccination campaign has actually picked up this week. The few weeks prior, it was moving very slowly. This week, we saw a huge increase in the numbers coming through.
She says vaccine education and options have accounted for the shift. She says that these options are available at the site.
We have the AstraZeneca, we have the Sputnik, and very shortly, in the next day or two, we're also going to do the Johnson & Johnson here at the Villa Polyclinic.
She says when the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is available, there will be a simple process to get the shot.
Currently, we do not have a registration, so persons can just walk in. I am assuming that if things pick up, we may have to change the process.
Antigua and Barbuda received 38,400 doses of Johnson & Johnson vaccines last week. Jessica Russell, ABS News.
St. Lucia's Infrastructure Minister Stephenson King is not writing off the possibility of returning to the public-private partnership model in which the government would not be required to dish out any money for implementing the Hiranora Airport redevelopment project. His comment comes on the heels of a cabinet decision to appoint a committee headed by the former permanent secretary in the Ministry of Infrastructure, Alison Jean, to review the project. Don Nicholas of DBS News World reports.
The Cabinet of Ministers has appointed a 7-person committee chaired by Mrs. Alison Jean, a former permanent secretary in the Ministry of Infrastructure, to review the Hiranora International Airport redevelopment project. The committee has been tasked to review the scope and financing arrangements of the project and to report its findings within 90 days. Infrastructure Minister Stephenson King explained that the objective is to review the overall project in terms of its capacity and future development in order to realize some fiscal space. He believes it may be too late for a public-private partnership agreement in which the government does not have to put out any money, but he is not writing off the possibility of returning to that model.
It may be a little too late, but certainly we're exploring those options also, in which if the government can go back to a PPP, then it means that the government would have some money to spend on other infrastructure projects that are more critical. I shouldn't say more critical, but that are also critical.
Mr. King is uncertain what the findings will be, but he says a review is necessary.
There's always been a need. There's always certainly a need to review. In fact, if you followed me throughout the last 5 years, I often said that they're just different models. One is a PPP where the government doesn't have to put out any money. The other one is where the government has taken the bold step and went to the Exim Bank of Taiwan and sought a loan. So this new administration, a new style, probably greater confidence in the PPP model, but the process is one in which they're given an opportunity to have a fair review that would guide them in the right direction.
Other members of this professional review committee include Mr. Cromwell Goodrich, Engineering, Mr. Winsbert Felix, Procurement, Mr. Paul Hilaire, Finance and Economics, Mr. Lon Theophilus, Law, Mr. Calix George Jr., Engineering, and Ms. Zena Bernard, Economics. For the DBS News World, I am Don Nicholas.
Hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
The number of beds for COVID-19 patients in Barbados among increased measures financed by the Barbadian government in its fight against the virus. Details in this Barbados Today comprehensive report.
Government is adding to the number of beds for COVID-19 patients, expanding testing, opening new quarantine stations, and commissioning 2 new vaccination buses amid a new wave of infections driven by the Delta variant. That's according to Health and Wellness Minister, Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostick. This latest COVID-19 response will cost over $47 million. Minister Bostick spoke about the plans during the supplementary estimates in Parliament on Tuesday.
We had 2 or 3 schools identified as possible isolation facilities. We've subsequently expanded that number, and we've done the site visits to be able to deal with that. And in fact, at this point in time, we have both Blackman Gollop and the Darrell Jordan secondary schools in operation. at this point in time. So that's an example of that. And so we've expanded isolation facilities, including hotel isolation. This obviously requires some additional funding to be able to provide the services that are required, the human resource, the supplies, and so on. We've also had to enhance our capacity to swab persons, take samples, and to test and to return results in a timely manner. And this also required expanding the services and the equipment and personnel. But above all, we had to make sure that we had enough personal protective equipment available and all of the supplies that we require to sustain this fight.
Minister Bostic also spoke about the upgrades taking place at the Harrison Point facility.
We, at this point in time, are not overwhelmed. But we can get there. We can be. That's what is happening elsewhere. We are protecting the country because we've always strived to keep as far as possible the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, which is the lone tertiary hospital in this country, secondary, tertiary, unlike larger countries that have multiple hospitals in different states and so on that they can call in resources. We don't have that luxury. And so that is why we spent money to refurbish Harrison Point. And at this point in time, we are doing some additional work at Harrison Point, recognizing the extent of the Delta variant and the kind of symptomatic experience that has been going on in other countries, with a lot of the positive cases being symptomatic. We've taken the decision to transform what is now secondary isolation to be more like primary isolation by now putting in oxygen into that building so that they will have their own oxygen. We are looking to put perhaps oxygen even in tertiary isolation at this point, and also medical air and some of those things that are very, very necessary.
3 of Guyana's trades union are taking legal action against government's vaccination policy. Gordon Mosley of News Source Guyana reports.
3 of Guyana's largest trade unions, the Guyana Trades Union Congress, the Guyana Public Service Union, and the Guyana Teachers Union have joined forces in a court action against the government over its vaccination policy, which has resulted in hundreds of workers who are unvaccinated against COVID-19 being locked out of their jobs. The court action names the Attorney General Anil Nandlal as the respondent on behalf of the Guyana government. The 3 unions are seeking a number of orders, declarations, and injunctions. Through Attorney Darren Way, the unions want the court to declare that the health emergency measures made by the President of Guyana and published in the official gazette was made in excess of the President's jurisdiction under Section 21 of the Public Health Ordinance. The presidential declaration was first made under former President David Granger and continues under the current President Irfan Ali. The applicants contend that although there is a central board of health, the President and the Minister of Health have not relied on that board for advice and recommendations as is required by the Constitution. The attorney contends that a declaration made by the President amounts to an unconstitutional delegation of the President's powers and infringes on the Constitution.
Did you know that your friends and family can now shop at the Food Fair from anywhere in the world, and you can receive here in Grenada? The Food Fair and GrenadaMarket.com now make it possible through secure online shopping and personalized customer service. Simply send your loved ones a list of your preferred items or let them fill an online basket, and the items will be available for pickup or delivery. Visit GrenadaMarket.com or thefoodfair.gd today for more details. The new norm. Spread the news.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.